Well, welcome back. The breaking news tonight, we now have the prosecution's early roadmap to the case against George Zimmerman, who faced a probable cause hearing today after his first night in jail. The judge ruling there was indeed enough evidence to proceed. The prosecution's affidavit laying it out. Now, in their view, George Zimmerman profiled Trayvon Martin, decided he was a potential criminal, as they put it, then pursued him, confronted him, and killed him after a scuffle that should not have happened. Again, that's the prosecution's take. The Zimmerman family says their son was attacked, nearly killed, and only fired to save his own life. Now it is up to the legal system, which is what the Martin family wanted from the beginning. Joining me now are Trayvon Martin's mother, Sybrinna Fulton, his brother Javaris, family attorney Benjamin Crump. I appreciate all you being here. Sybrinna, I wonder, did you watch the hearing today? Did you actually see George Zimmerman in court?
We watched certain parts of it, but we didn't actually sit down and see the whole thing.
What is that like to see it? I mean, this is something you've been wanting for so long, ever since your son was killed.
It actually helps a little to see that the person that shot and killed Trayvon will be held accountable for what he has done.
Javaris, as a brother, what is it like to see that?
I'm relieved that it's happened. You know, we finally are starting to get some justice for my brother. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah. Benjamin, for you, this is really just the first step.
Yes, sir. Anderson, this is the first base, really, in the true sense of the word in this case, because we have the stand your ground law, and that's going to be second base, and we got to get through that before we can get to actual prosecution and the jury. And so we're preparing ourselves for the long journey. It took us so long to just get to this point. We're relieved, especially for Sybrinna and Tracy, to get to this point, to know that he has to stand accountable.
Right. Sybrinna, earlier you made comments that you believe what happened between your son and George Zimmerman was an accident. That got a lot of coverage. A lot of people interpret it in different ways. I wanted to give you an opportunity to explain what you meant or how
that wasn't actually my intent. It was taken out of context. What I actually said was, I repeated what Tracy had just said, that if George Zimmerman had not gotten out of his vehicle, we would not have been there, and this wouldn't have happened. And I simply said that I felt that the actual encounter was an accident by George getting out of his vehicle and having some type of confrontation with Trayvon, that was the accident. By no means do I believe that he shot and killed my son by accident. I think it was deliberate. He got out of that vehicle with the intent to shoot and kill my son. And that's what I believe. That's what I've said from the start, that he chased my son down like an animal and he killed him.
You've talked about justice for your son. How do you define justice now? Is justice just having a trial? Is justice having this man convicted? For you, what is justice?
Well, justice is a few things, but first of all, we needed an arrest, because he cannot be held accountable for what he's done if he has not been arrested. So that was our first step. Now we're going to move into the second level of the trial and getting him sentenced and prosecuted and everything, so that we can move forward with this, because we want him to be held accountable for what he's done.
Javaris, what do you want people to know about your brother? We haven't heard much from you in all this time. I can't imagine how hard this has been for you. What do you want people to, in all of this, remember about your brother?
I would like them to remember that he wasn't this, violent, confrontational person that George Zimmerman is making him out to be. He loved kids, he loved sports, he was just a regular kid. The stuff, they say, I disagree with. That wasn't him.
When you heard that this had happened, what was beyond the grief of it, did it seem real to me? Did it seem impossible to you that this had happened?
Mm-hmm. I didn't believe it at all.
Yeah.
I remember that conversation I had with my mother on the phone, and
she called you to tell you.
Mm-hmm. And I asked her. I told her I didn't understand. It didn't make sense at all.
Anderson, the 911 tapes, the objective evidence there is there. You can listen to it. He was pursuing Trayvon. The only thing that we have where Trayvon confronts him is George Zimmerman version. And I think the evidence is what matters here, not what he say, because it's very self-serving now, and Trayvon isn't here to tell his side of the story.
Ben, George Zimmerman's attorney is trying to get bond, wants ultimately to get bond for his client. Is that, do you want George Zimmerman out on bond? Is that something that you think is acceptable?
Well, what we want is the judge to think about the charge, because it's a very serious charge. He shot an unarmed kid, and if convicted, he's facing a lot of time. We already saw a lot of erratic behavior on his part, so can we be sure if he's bonded out that he's not going to try to flee from justice? We hear a lot about he turned himself in. As we understand it, there was a capious issue. So had he not turned himself in, I want to believe the government would have came and got him, just as if Trayvon had been the shooter. They certainly would have got him, and we believe, Anderson, Trayvon would have been arrested on day one, not 44 days later.
Was it shocking for you to actually finally see George Zimmerman? I mean, after all this time, there's been pictures of him, of course, but to actually see him, just a video of him, was that strange?
The first time I did see him was the courthouse when we filed a lawsuit for the 911 tape. So that was the first picture that I've seen. And then I've seen the second picture when he was arrested, but I haven't seen him yet. It wasn't shocking.
So you haven't watched a video of the hearing today where you actually saw him on video?
I actually saw him on the video, and really outside of your studio, I've seen pictures of him.
But, I'm sorry, I guess I asked this again, but is it disturbing to, I mean, is it shocking to, I don't know, just what, I guess I'm just curious about what is the reaction of actually seeing this person walking around?
I have a strong faith in God, and I just believe that he's a human being. At the end of the day, he's a human being. There are good people and there are bad people. And I just believe he's a human being. I don't have any hate for him in my heart. I lost my child, and that hurts me a great deal. So I just want him to be held accountable for what he's done.
So, but you don't have hate in your heart?
No, I don't.
That's a remarkable thing. I think a lot of people would find it hard not to feel some hate.
Well, I have faith in the legal system, and I feel that he'll get his, whatever's due to him, he'll receive it. It's not for me to judge him.
Sybrinna, appreciate you being with us. I know it's not easy, and Travaris as well. Thank you very much, and Benjamin Crump as well. Thank you so much. We'll continue, obviously, to follow this. And we're following another story tonight, the firestorm over